So,
Yes.
welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending this another session of our Friday informal chat. Here, like Shini was saying earlier, we want to explore. We want to explore stimulating ideas, innovative thoughts, and we want it to be as what's the word, Shini, that we have it strictly unofficial. So we don't want to be careful. We want to be actually. It's okay to be provocative. It's okay to be controversial. It's okay to say something that triggers a thought, because we are as a society very polite, which is good. I mean, I want us to continue that, but there is a cost to that too, to being the same old. Why, right? And when you light someone up, even if it's for a very good reason, it's okay to for the other person to feel uncomfortable. In my coaching experience, there was this powerful lady. She actually faced domestic violence, walked away, recreated her life, rebuilt her life. I can just see the power in her. She wants to be a coach in the future, and I can see that material in her, right? But when we had a one-on-one, I questioned her. I questioned, why is it something that she was doing, right? And she came back to me later saying, I actually wanted to drop out in the group coaching when we had the one-on-one, but you did not fear for yourself. You had the audacity to step up and call me out, and it felt very uncomfortable. And that's precisely the reason I stayed back, because everybody is praising all the good things, right? But then someone in but there is a delicacy to it. You see a brain surgeon, he's not just saying, I'm gonna just open you up and then fix you up, right? He's extremely delicate about doing the worstest thing that can happen to your body. I mean, he's literally opening your head, opening your brain, doing whatever, right? But there is a method to that. And to me, that's what these leaders are here to talk about the process that they have used, they have employed in their professional lives, in their personal lives, the topic of endurance. So when I look up endurance and how I have applied in my life, I see these five top strategies. I'll just talk about one right now and I'll open the floor to actually be realistic. So people who know me up close, I have been very unrealistic. I can pack international, my three kids and me, and I can pack the baggage within 24 hours, book a flight, and off I go. And now this is not about using credit card and swiping it and having unlimited bank account that it has no bottom. It's more about the mindset that knows that yes, I can do hostels, yes, I can just have a backpack for my kids so there's no check-in baggages, yes, I can actually find, especially when a deal just comes and it's spring break. uh it's questioning who I was before, to lighten that whatever chains. Like, this is how I see ourselves. We all have chains, whether it is by culture, by conditioning, by upbringing, by whatever, right? To realize that, hey, it's just I just unhook it and I'm a hot air balloon, I can fly off, right? So that kind of mindset has helped me time and time and time again to get over life's challenges. So the thing is, to be realistic in an unrealistic way is that, yes, I have this, I can think outside the box constantly, but to be realistic about it too. That's like the kicker, like to be dreamy but to have the steps towards that dream. That's the process to that magic, right? So I'll open the floor and I will invite, I don't see Ty here. If she's here, please let me know, because I'm again on my phone. I would invite Dr. Kalandra to go ahead.
So for me, like you hit me, mindset transformation is what I do. This is the reality that I live. But in my mind, I must live in that place before I can actually be there. So if my reality is I want to fly wherever I want to go, I want to do that, you've already made steps to becoming a better and greater version of who you are, because you can now think of those things. Some people can't even perceive themselves getting on a plane at the drop of a dime and going anywhere. So what I'm saying is, my reality, if I'm unable to do that, is what strategies do I put in place? What habits do I change? What do I need to implement into my life so that what I'm dreaming about can now become a reality, if that makes sense. I was once a federal inmate and I had shackles, waist irons, and handcuffs on me. And when I got my release date and I came home, and although I no longer had the physical shackles, handcuff, and waist irons in my mind, I did. So my reality was not where it is now, but I dreamed of the life that I am now living. And I agree with you. You have to be realistic, but in being realistic, don't lose the dream. Just
Yeah.
become focused and implement the strategies and the habits and financial literacy that will get you to a financial situation where you don't have to worry about money. So being real to yourself will bring you to a place of, wow, like Dr. Sonia says, that aha moment. Okay, I want to go to Dubai, but you don't have the money to go to Dubai. So you can dream about going to Dubai, but what are you going to implement into your life to make that dream a reality? So you have to be very realistic and practical about changing your life. And in your mind is the first place for me. In my coaching program, the first section is on mindset transformation, and then we can move forward, because how you perceive things and think things to be is how you will function in your day-to-day life.
Perfectly said, and thank you for your vulnerability in sharing about your past. I mean, that's incredible, and kudos to you for making that, amazing. It is unrealistic for most people who are still there, but you had realistic steps to achieve that unrealistic dream. That's what I was talking about. We all are walking around with actually shackles, and some of us, most of us look free, but we are completely shackled up. Yeah, I love that analogy, and to realize that the shackles are here first before here. And this is the most difficult thing for most of us to go towards. And this is the easiest thing. Once you realize this, people might say, how are you able to do it? But it's because these are gone. This is free and they can't see it. But thank you for that amazing share, Dr. Kalandra. Kimberly, would you like to go next? Can't. Can you please call out on the other speakers, because I am requesting you and I can't see them on my.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to be on with you all. This is amazing. Last minute, I just said yes, and you invited me in, and I appreciate that. I really do. I see some of the other ladies from P3 University. Hey, ladies. Good to see you on this afternoon. Listen, I love this topic. I love this whole idea of these discussions about what we can do to make our lives better, what we can do to get out of the box, so to speak. As you were talking about, being spontaneous and going on a trip and pulling it all together really quickly, that's hard for a lot of us because we have this battle in our minds, and we begin to think about either the past or the future, and we neglect the present. And we miss out on so much because there are so many opportunities in the present that we can take advantage of if we will just allow ourselves to be free and to be spontaneous. I know for me that I am one of my worst critics. I am one of my worst handicaps at times, because I'll get into my head and begin to think about, well, all the what ifs and all of the possibilities. But sometimes we just have to trust. For me, I'm a woman of faith. So I trust God in leading me in the ways that I ought to go, and just believe that there are opportunities that He has presented for me that sometimes you gotta move right then. But the thing that happens to us, and that I've dealt with, and things that I teach those that I coach, because the name of my coaching business is Living on Purpose, Life and Empowerment Coaching. And so I'm always talking about purpose. I'm always talking about, identifying your purpose and walking out your purpose with passion and getting a plan to execute all of that. And that sounds all well and good, but there is always the battle up here that we have to contend with before we take our first steps. And so I've been teaching this. As a matter of fact, I did a master class on last night about silencing the inner critic and really unleashing the authentic you. And so when we think about the inner critic, it's that part of our thought process that's always going to tell us, you can't do it. It's not going to happen, or you don't have what it takes. And we have to have skill sets that allow us to be able to tell our inner critic to shut up, because we know who we really are. We know what our capabilities are, and we have to begin to cancel the lies. We gotta identify the lies and then cancel out the lies, because if we take the time to do that, it opens up so many possibilities that we would otherwise miss out on. And so, I believe in taking those steps to encourage people that I coach. I always tell them this, and then I'm going to stop because I love talking and I'll talk all day long. But this is what I tell the people that I coach. I tell them to feel the feeling and choose the behavior. And so even though you might feel like, oh, I'm afraid to do this, do it anyway. Even though you feel like, I'm afraid to take this risk and take this trip, do it anyway. We can acknowledge our feelings and still move into our futures based on, like I said, what we know to be the truth, and we don't buy into every lie that our feelings tell us, because when we do, we miss out on a world of opportunity. So thank you for allowing me to share. So good to be here.
Thank you, Kimberly. That's amazing. I love the powerful negative word you used, lies. People usually use that in a wrong context. They go, oh, I lied, my bad. No, they didn't lie. They said something by mistake. But you're calling it out, calling our feelings of, I still go back to the time when I jumped into the ocean and I can't swim, right? Even when I surfed and there was nobody the first time I tried surfing. And of course, the surf instructor was there. And he's like, you do the Om thing, right? You do the Krishna thing. Just, this is all Krishna. I was like, no, I'm scared. Like the ocean is like there to engulf me. Like the fears were real because it was the truth. I don't know how to swim. But I was there to learn the surfing. And what you just said, right? It's a lie. I could surf at the end of the 40-minute, or I don't know, maybe it was 2-hour session, right? I could stay on the board. I didn't fall. I fell many times, but I'm saying at the end of it, I could stay. I could get up. I could do whatever the pose he told me. But the feeling initially was run away. You're gonna die. Just run away, run away, run away, run away, right? You can't take this. That's what you're calling a lie. That was a lie. That is a lie, right? Because when you go through the process and you have the mindset, like just breathe it out, trust trust the coach, trust the mentor, trust the guide, whoever it is in that situation. I think without that trust, we think our feelings are the truth. But I love that. Usually I don't like negative words, but I like that. I like that you're called that. Feel the feelings. Just feel it. Yes, I'm scared. And name it too, right? Give it a texture, give it a color. It feels horrible. It feels dark. It's like, and then choose the behavior. Choose to jump anyways. Choose to do it anyways. That to me is like the most difficult thing for most of us. Whether it's food that we don't want to eat, or whether it's a scary task or getting on a stage and talking, it's almost like you're accepting both are going to be inside me all the time. There's never going to be a time when I'm going to be away from these lying feelings. It's like that American Indian saying, right? Like we have the good wolf and the bad wolf both inside us. Whichever one you feed, it's going to win the war. That's it. Yeah, so great share. Thank you, Kimberly. Mary, what I would love to hear from you.
All right. Thank you, Shetal. How do you pronounce your name? I want to pronounce it correctly.
Beetle, like beetle.
Oh, Shito, like Beta. Okay, Shito. Shito, thank you for inviting me and allowing me to share. I'm just the opposite. I was trained at an early age and shown vividly that fear is false evidence appearing real. And so with that, I was brave. I went to Africa at an early age and was afraid. I went with the school program and I decided to stay. So I stayed 3.5 years, went with 2 suitcases and had a wonderful time, met a lot of great people, just learned a lot about various cultures. because I work with people from Pakistan, from India, throughout Africa. So I had a wonderful experience not letting my fears of traveling to Africa as a single person deter me. So, and then since that time, since 1973, I've kept my passport updated. So when I have an opportunity to travel abroad, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it because I learned through traveling, your education and your compassion changes because you meet different circumstances, and so that builds up your wisdom and your understanding, and that is necessary to have world peace, and it's also necessary for spiritual growth. So I could go on, but I've been blessed to live on the African continent, to live in Europe, to live in the Middle East, and to travel through the Caribbean. And I'm just saying, opening up to the positive side of travel, the interacting with new cultures, learning new foods, learning new dances, learning just a whole bunch of things that you can gain from travel. So I'm one that I'm game. So if anyone got a trip, I'm ready. As a matter of fact, my family called me Gypsy.
Sorry, what did you say? The
My
last
family
sentence?
called me Gypsy because I will pick up and move. I'll go.
That's interesting. So now, since our topic is about endurance, and the example I gave is to show that the mindset, the easy mindset that can pick up and leave, because you're constantly choosing your next step, next behavior, right? So how, I'm sure you had to endure a lot in all of your travels.
Yes, but it was not cumbersome because of my mindset. Because I was going with that positive, open attitude that I want to learn and I wanted to grow. I wanted to learn a foreign language. So with that, it gave me opportunity to learn and grow. So I wasn't hesitant. It wasn't a hesitancy at all. The only hesitancy in all of my travel was the money. And then I would find part-time jobs to generate the money. So I just look forward and say, okay, how can I do this? Can I get a job to help pay for this trip? And so that's what I would do. So I took a different approach to it.
It's almost like what most people will see as a difficulty to endure. It's the mindset that turns them into adventures and excitement, and the end result is play, that you have fun. Awesome. Is anybody else willing to share on this topic of actually setting realistic goals to achieve unrealistic dreams?
Can I add something to that just quickly?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I feel like every challenge presents a chance for us to develop new skills, like you with the surfing, her with the traveling, to gain wisdom and resilience and to become stronger. So it's every time we're faced with, like she said, that fear, that anxiety, or the lies of our lives, when we overcome that, we've gained wisdom, experience, resilience, strength. So we've actually grown from something that we initially thought would kill us. Like you said, the ocean could have engulfed you, but you conquered that, right? At the end, you were able to serve. And so all of what the lady said, all of what you said comes to the point that every time we look at that mountain and we're like, wow. And then when we get over it, we're like, I did that. And you did it with wisdom. You did it with strength. And now your mind sees that you overcame something, and it begins to shift every incrementally. So every step that you conquer something, whether it's big or small, signing up for the class was a small step, but a major step to something, was in the process of something big. So I just wanted to say kudos to everybody for even overcoming the lies, as she said. And I love that, like you said, but just knowing I'm going to be a better person. My mindset shifts when I began to see things manifest that I never thought would be a reality.
Perfect. And the science behind that is that we have neurons and pathways, right? So what's happening is that after 5 years, we're done. We learned everything. And after 15 years, completely. We know, I mean, talk to any teenager. They have the solution to any of your problems. They know it all, right? Anybody experienced the wisdom of teenagers? They know it. So what's happening is that as an adult, we have nothing more to learn. We've learned the car driving. We've learned everything. It's just very little minimal thing that we learn. So our neurons and brain pathways, everything is set. There's nothing firing too much unless you go on an adventure, unless you learn a new skill, new language, new experience, new challenge, right? I'm not talking about the same old challenge you have with your partner at home. I'm talking, I'm joking. It's something novelty, right? That novelty is what is creating the problem. The way you solve it, whether it is surfing, traveling, or taking up anything else, right? It actually creates new brain cells and new pathways where, so that's exactly what you have, that, oh, I conquered this breakdown created a breakthrough. So now you're taking that enhanced, upgraded brain to tackle everything else in life. You're going to upgrade every way. Just, it's not just that one problem or one situation. You're going to take that new version of you to it's presented to rest of the life. So yeah, perfect share, Dr. Kalandra. So the second point, second strategy in continuing with this endurance so that we turn any difficulty into a progress is mindfulness. What we talked about earlier, turning that fear to look at it as in like, oh, it's your lie. Okay, I'm going to choose this. This pivoting is possible only with mindfulness. Great people, great personalities, successful personalities, they've all thrown that word, like mindfulness, meditation, breath work. What's again the science behind it is that when we breathe, when I'm pausing, when I'm slowing down my system, I can actually see them separate, my emotions and my feelings, my reactions versus my responses. So that mindfulness is the second strategy for endurance. And I'd like to invite anybody, especially our speakers, to elaborate on that if they want. How do you incorporate mindfulness in your practice to continue endurance?
The way I practice that, if I may come in, is that by opening yourself up to learning and learning other cultures, learning other techniques, you're able to better interface with others and be mindful of their cultural upbringing or their beliefs, and understanding that it's not always your way or the highway, is that there are different opinions, different approaches to dealing with things. So that's what has helped me.
Okay. I agree. And it's an excellent point, because when we travel, and it's about that mindfulness of the local culture, the locals, the food there. So many times, whether I've seen with the Indians or the Caucasians, right? They want their sandwich, or they want their white rice, or they want their, why? When we're traveling, we're going there also to explore, to expand our mind, to learn from the people that we're visiting, from the experience. So to me, I love it. It's not just the breath work, but the breath work actually makes it, makes things, I feel like, more colorful. Maybe it's just red, pale red for most people, but it's like you get a high, honestly. When you have a good breath work, it is a high. You can experience love more, compassion more. You can experience the variety more. And I like it because I believe in Airbnb. I love Airbnb. I'm a host. When I travel, I think, was it in Poland? They had it on the walls, like, Airbnb sucks, like, Airbnb is bad. I was like shocked. I was like, well, really? I asked my guide. I was doing a walking guide, and he said, yeah, and he explained why. So to actually have an open mind to look at the other point of view than yours, right? I believe Airbnb, took out the middleman in such a big way that Uber, Airbnb became a shared economy. But the point that the Poland, was it Poland? No, Portugal, excuse me, is that the tenants who were long-term residents, their rates were hiked up so high because the landlords wanted them to leave so that they could give these small apartments to Airbnb tourists. So they hate tourism, they hate Airbnb. I was like, ouch, I felt them. To feel for the enemy, for your opponent, to me, that's extending your compassion. That increases your endurance because you can understand why the other person is doing whatever it is that they're doing. So thank you for that share, Mary. Anybody else? Kimberly?
I think that it's really important that we put some intentionality behind our thought process and that we actually think about what we're thinking about. We have so many thoughts throughout the course of the day, like thousands and thousands of thoughts that run through our mind and our conscious and subconscious mind. But we have the ability to sit down and say, okay, and I do this to myself sometimes. If I get on a track that I know is not conducive to my success or to my meeting my goals, I'm going to stop myself. And I'm not crazy, but I do talk to myself. And I say, why are you thinking about this? Like, why are you spending time on this? And then sometimes I backtrack to see what the real root of that thought is, because many times what we're thinking about is really not what we're thinking about. There's something that it's attached to. And so I try to be very intentional when I find myself in spaces where my thoughts are not in alignment with my purpose and what God has said about me. And I try to unwrap that, unearth that, unwrap that and find out what is the real root cause of this. And I do, when I work with people, I advise them to do the same thing, to really think about what you're thinking about and really be intentional about finding out what the root of your thoughts are.
That's perfectly said. You remind me of the downhill. If a car is going downhill and the momentum is building up, this is exactly how the bad feelings are. You feel angry, you want to stare, you want to tell them off, you want to talk more about it, you want to whine about it, you want to make a post about it, we can do on, and it's like an avalanche building up. And it's the wisdom in us, the mindfulness that brings about the wisdom that's like, oh, screech the brick, halt it. I know it's going to take time, but that awareness is the key. As in, I'm going downhill right now. This is not serving me. And, it feels so good, so juicy to give them the fight back, to give them the punch back, say it, but then, yeah, it's downhill. It's not, I think we get exhausted really fast in every way possible. So that's a great way of using mindfulness to stop ourselves from overthinking, to be our own observer, to see where am I going? Am I going in the right direction or the wrong direction? Great to share, Kimberly. Thank you. Dr. Calandra.
Kim got me in my head, yeah. So in my mindfulness, every day I make it a point to be grateful. I look around and I see how blessed I am. And I'm grateful for being able to breathe. No O2 tanks attached to me, just having that, just being mindful of the small things as I go through this journey to get and attain the bigger things, as I create this legacy for my grandchildren's grandchildren. I'm grateful and mindful of how I think about what may appear to be small in comparison to what I want. That's the first thing. And the second thing is I'm mindful now that I have become a coach and a speaker. I'm very mindful to listen to other people and to be attentive to what they're saying, because something is in there that's going to speak to me or speak to me about how I should speak to them. because sometimes people use harsh words, but if you listen to the words and look and pay attention and you're mindful of their body actions and how they hold themselves and how they may position their hands, if I'm mindful of all that, my response, as you said, is going to be different. I'm going to approach them in a more compassionate way instead of just going off like the old me would have. So in mindfulness, I'm just mindful of how blessed I am, of how much potential is in me, and mindful of gratitude. And then I'm just mindful of giving people all of me when I give you me. I'm listening. I have my pen and paper here. I'm writing, taking notes from everybody because I'm always learning. And so that is another thing, just mindful of what can I pull from you? What can I pull from each speaker and what they're saying and each person that I didn't know? Like, I'm an expert in what I know, but I'm still and always mindful that I'm learning.
I love that humility, Dr. Calandra, and that's exactly brings the gratitude. So I do know science says people who are grateful, the gratitude practices, at the end of the day when you journal, what it's doing to the brain. The brain feels like I am safe when you're grateful, like wow, 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 right? For the sunshine, for the basic things. I'm talking about the core basic that we need for survival, right? The food, the shelter, the water, the air. When we start from the scratch, like when people ask Nelson Mandela, how did he do 27 years inside a prison? Can you just imagine? That's like a whole life, a family, kids, house, so much career. 27 years was sucked out of him, right? And like completely. And he's not just a normal human being. He's a brilliant, noble soul that this happened and the world just watched. I mean, I get goosebumps when I think about Aung San Suu Kyi, the Burmese freedom fighter. She was in house arrest for years. So these people are noble not because of their just that mission, but they are noble because of the gratitude. They were grateful that they still have a voice and they were still making a difference even in the prison, right? So that gratitude to me is such a key that if I feel like honestly, when things don't work out, when things are like, you know what? Going back to the basic gratitude gives us that, I always go back to this, like the thumb sucking, like I'm okay, when mom's not around, the diaper's dirty, you're hungry, but you're like, you know what to do, a baby. That is what we give to ourselves. It's our gift to ourselves when we can actually go back to that gratitude and your humility in we have in Telugu, in our native language, we call chakora pakshi, like a bird that the minute the moon comes, it opens and it's always looking for a moon drop, it seems. And by morning, I don't know if it's real, I don't know if it's fiction, Srini has to correct me, but it seems it's so thirsty for the moon drop that it's looking the whole semicircle the moon does by the time the sunrise comes. So by the morning the birds completely flopped back, like I feel like when you're a seeker, you thirst for wherever it's coming from. Henry David Thoreau, right? He did his what was that, 2 years, 6 months, I don't know, in the forest in the cold. He was learning from the fish that was under the frozen lake and he could still see it. He was like, oh my God, look at the endurance, right? In that fish. Like that, if we have that seeker mindset, it doesn't matter. We're grateful, we're seeking, we're learning, and especially for bad situations. Yes, we're human. We have red blood in us. We're gonna suffer, we're gonna have torture, we're gonna have bad feelings, but after that, we're gonna go, wow, thank God for that experience. I am stronger, I am taller, I am better than if that didn't happen. So to me, endurance is actually gives us that elixir to be this better and better and better version of ourselves. And mindfulness, to me, without mindfulness, we are short run. Like there's a short run, and after that we react. I mean, how long can you stay noble before the morning coffee? Things are gonna start happening. Either it's your partner, your kids, your clients. your office, whatever it is, right? So if you want to continue the nobility past the morning coffee, have mindfulness with the coffee. So the third one, third strategy for endurance is support, support, support your network. Like Oprah, you know, the richest Black woman with I don't know, I think she's the richest woman, period. I don't know. But she's got $2.5 billion net worth. And she came from such a bad background. And anytime she has anything on, I'm crying. Like she's moving people, she's moving hearts, right? And she says she would have been nothing if it wasn't for the support of women throughout her journey. And when women support women, and yes, men support women too, and I acknowledge the men here, when people support people, right? Women are creators, so there's a bit more advantage to that. But the men are providers in that aspect for the support system, right? So without that support network of your family, because sometimes with the younger generation, they'll say, oh, friends are the new family. I have my friends and I have everything. But I feel like there is an ego, right? If we can work through that and still connect with family at some aspects, yes, they're not gonna see, many families don't see where you're going, especially if you've gone too far, you've gone up too high, and they can't recognize you. But to still have that core connection with family, with friends, with your society, you know, that is so crucial, because you can only endure, like the runners on marathon, they need people supporting, cheering them. Like sometimes you don't believe, you look at the other person clapping at you, looking at you, nodding, you go, you know what, maybe I'm okay, maybe I'll go a bit longer. So for that endurance, we need that core support system. Yeah, I'd like to hear from Mary on this topic.
Oh, by all means, I have all kinds of stories about core support. And I'll just share one story. And it was at the end of my travel, I was returning to the States, and I flew into Kennedy Airport in New York. And I did not have any funds to take a taxi to my uncle's. So I asked the taxi driver, would he take me from Kennedy to my uncle's place in Brooklyn? And when we got there, I said, you have to wait here till I go and get the money from my uncle to pay you. He said, okay. And so when I got to the door and I explained to my uncle, he said, oh, yes, here, daughter, here's the money. So you get all kinds of support when you go. You don't know, you just have to ask. Sometimes we fail to get the support because we don't ask. But having that confidence, because you have established a relationship, you will get more support than you would envision. So that's one thing I'll say about support. We have a supportive family, and that supportive family has enabled me to enjoy more of life, and also to share more of life with my cousins and siblings. My cousin just flew in the other weekend before last to just read out, just to have a family day. So you get the benefits of the support. If not immediately, later on. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Completely agree with it. It takes confidence and courage to actually ask for support. And more, I see that as women are very independent and doing any job that they can, right? They are losing the touch where it's okay to ask for help. They might seem that, you know, maybe it's not just women, maybe for many people, asking support means I'm weak, help me. It's almost like for them it's like a begging. But I don't see it that way, and that's confidence to not see it that way. Like, you need help, to not feel shy or shameful to ask for support. Like, I'm feeling low, I feel dark, can I talk to you? You know, that feels like you're labeling yourself as a loser, but that's not true. So thank you for sharing that, Mary. Kimberly, would you like to go?
I think that is one of the things that sometimes we overlook the most when we're talking about enduring and dealing with situations and circumstances in our lives, that we try to go it alone, and we make it harder for ourselves. You know, I have the belief that we are better together, and you know, I don't have to know everything. I don't have to be the expert in everything, you know, but I can have a support system that comes in, and the places where I might be weak, the places where, you know, I might not be as well informed, that if I have a really strong support system, there's going to be somebody in that group that's going to be able to make up the slack in the areas where, you know, I might be lacking. And I think it takes a level of vulnerability, especially being in this society where it's so individualistic, and everybody's like, after, you know, I'm on my grind, and I'm gonna make it work for me, and and it's kind of like a me kind of society. But we have to have the mindset that we are better together, because I love winning with other women. Like, I love winning with groups. I love seeing other women win and make it. And if there's ever anything that I can add to that, or supporting others, I'm there, because I feel like it's no fun winning by yourself. I feel like it's better when you win with a group and with others who are striving with like mindsets and who are going in the same direction, whether it's family or friends or, you know, associates or whatever it is. We are better together. I have a women's group, a women's network called We Win, and an acronym is Women Empowering Women International Network. And so it's all about women from different backgrounds with different experiences coming together on a common playing field to say, listen, I'm just here to help. I want to see you win.
Amazing. Very nice. Thank you so much. I'm going to request one of you to reach out to Tai Smoo. She just sent me a text saying she doesn't have the link to join the Zoom. Could you reach out to her if you're connected with her? I think she responds more if you're one on the phone messenger. Yes. So carrying on, Kimberly, that's completely true. And in fact, for me, when you're in a network of community, society, sisters, friends, family, right? Some people, after they find out, like, oh, I could have been there. You were not open with me, so I couldn't help you. But the point is, you were meant to do what you're meant to do. Just you being yourself in a network, you're helping the other person. That is key, because people want to know, what is it that making you cry? What is it that's hurting you? And then they can help. But they have to realize, people, even all of us have to realize that everybody we see is doing their best. Even if I have reactions to their best, I have to realize that me being myself, right? Especially if they're needing help at that time, if they haven't come to me and reached out to me treating them normally is actually a support for them. Me asking, because not everybody wants to show their hurtful face or hurtful situation, share what's going on with them with everybody. They have their core inner circle. If we are outside the inner circle, we can still support the person going through a difficulty by connecting with them normally. They don't need to share with us, and there is no ego involved if they don't open up, because they have their own sisters or family connecting, right? Yeah. So Dr. Kalandra, please go ahead. Is anybody able to reach Tai?
I wasn't. I'm looking through it now.
Tatiana, and she's on as Tai Smoo.
Okay.
She's texting me for Zoom link, but I can't do it right now.
Okay. Support is everything. When I missed last week, like, it was just crushing to me, because I think we've come to a place from last week where I want to embrace everyone who is willing to embrace me. And just that community of people, because I don't know about anybody else, but for me, my family loves me, my mother loves me, but she doesn't see my vision. It wasn't a conference call. She can't see where I can see me. So being in a community of women who think like me, they may not look like me, but they think like me. It was just I don't know, I can't even describe how like great I felt last week being in you ladies' company. I missed her conference last night and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I missed it. But it was not because I did not want to be there. Support is everything. For me, support is everything, whether it's I want to vent and it's a listening ear. I may not need advice. I may just need, as a professional, we don't get to go to our team members and say, blah, 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 XYZ. But hey, can I give you a call? I need a place to vent right now. And that's why the AP partners, that's a support system. But I would not be where I am now had somebody supported me, invested in me, whether, an investment isn't always monetary, but emotionally, with words of wisdom, with strategies and suggestions. So support is absolutely pivotal to me and what I'm building right now.
Very nice. And what Dr. Calandra meant by AP is accountability partner. So it is very nice if we can have accountability partners, whether it is with Jim that Srini was going to with his friend. I hope it's still going on. Srini, I'm going to come back to that. Or Ravi and his diet, like to have an accountability partner. And for all of us, right? For me, I need someone who is keeping my whatever with the financial, because I'm like, right? So I understand we all need help. We all need support. We're all brilliant and we can still be under construction, right? We are all works of art. We're not done. We're not done. No one's here like we're not, it's like we can be the boss and we can be the worker that's still going to reach, because change and growth is life. So the fourth strategy is to embrace failure, to not see failure as like a negative thing. It's part of life. A baby cannot walk unless he falls few times or many times, right? To think that, oh no, my baby fell, oh my God, that's it, right? Why are we like that with rest of anything else we do in life? In fact, my son, I won't share it. He may not like it, so I'll keep it not too personal. But Google has this 50-50 or something where they actually create projects. I forget the actual percentage, okay? But the way they have projects is that they want 40% failure. If your project is 100% success, they're like, oh my God, it's a tiny project. So when our plates are big and the whole plate is filled up, the balancing act is going to be difficult. If all you do is get up, get your coffee, do your little thing for a few hours, and then go back and then watch TV and then, whatever, that's a very small life. If you have a bigger vision, if you have these goals and visions and you have a mission and you are excited by many things, like it's not going to be a small life. You're going to fail constantly, and 40%, you better fail almost half the times that you're attempting, right? So to embrace failure as the thing that you need to endure, to continue that, right? So yeah, anybody wants to talk about it, I'm going to open it up to anybody. Or my speakers can go ahead first too. Embracing failure.
I read this book. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was in Think and Grow Rich or not. I don't know. But it was a book that I read that said that you should take the word failure out of your vocabulary or out of the dictionary, and you should like go in your dictionary and just cut it out. Just cut that word out of your dictionary. So I actually did that. I got my dictionary and I cut that word out. But in doing that, what I realized is that if I can change my perspective about failure and turn it into opportunities of learning, like I didn't fail, I just learned something new, then it helps me to embrace that. I love what you said, Sheetal, when you talked about the probability of failing. And if we're not failing in some area, if we're not if we're always getting it right, like if we're always at the top of the game, that means we're not challenging ourselves enough. If we're not, because there has to be some point where you begin to operate at levels that are above you, like Dr. Calandra was talking about. I hope I said your name right. In that room at P3 when we were there, the PDB, there were so many amazing women. Like there were so many powerful women. And, you could either like say, okay, I'm going to be in here, or I'm not going to come because I'm not like them, or I feel like I'm not like them, or whatever. Or I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do what I know that I can do. And even if it's not up to anybody else's standard, then guess what? I put myself in that position. And if you try 100%, then that's a 100% victory. So I just have learned to change the perspective of how I look at the whole idea of failure.
I love it. And you remind me, in my childhood, there was this poster. Then I begged my dad to buy it and I had it in my room. It's such a cute kitten. Right? Really cute kitten. You want to protect that kitten. But the kitten is looking at the mirror and there's a lion showing back, like in the reflection. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so cute. But what you feel inside about yourself, how you project yourself, how you see yourself, right? Even if with all the failures, even with all the setbacks, and even with all the conditioning, like, oh, you're not good enough, someone else is killing it, you can't even make the first step, right? Doesn't matter. To go back to that truth that, that kitten looking at the mirror is looking back at a lion. I love it. Mary, go ahead.
Okay. Until last week, I had attempted to get an AP partner or an accountability partner with P3. And somehow it just didn't work out. But while there, I sat next to a lady and I said, do you have an accountability partner? She said, no. I said, you do now. So I was, I had failed up until that point, but then it turned out it was a great match by being there and sitting next to this lady. And we have met and we have in exchange and we are making plans to go to another event and become roommates. So it's just that it sometimes sets you up for something greater. That's all I want to say.
Yes. And people as great as Elon Musk, right? They filed bankruptcy with their first business. They had so many setbacks, but we only look at Tesla or some SpaceX, right? But we see the iceberg, but we don't see the mountain that is under. We see the success, right? So our addiction, our fascination, and our basically brainwashed culture is to only see the dots of success of people, but not all the failures that they had to endure to be where they are. Dr. Calandra.
For me, as society would put it, when my name was taken away, which is why the name of my business is I Am Calandra. I am no longer 02539-095 because in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, my name was stripped away. But in that place of failure, at my rock bottom, which, like I said, rock bottom is a solid foundation. It is there where I grew the most. It is there where I planned out my life, where I wanted to be. And in that plan that I had in place at that time, I have not been successful, but I have learned who I am as a woman and evolved into a better woman than what I even thought I could be there. So perspective is exactly key, because although I was in a place and they referred to me as a number, I never lost my identity within myself. And I knew who God had created me to be. I just needed a place of being unsuccessful to just really hit me in the face and bring me to the realization, like, you have to change some things. And sometimes when we attempt to do things and they don't work out, we get the chance to go back and reevaluate what works, what doesn't work, and then change. Like she said, it's not failure, it's a life lesson. And so now what are you going to do with that lesson? Now, if you don't do anything with that lesson, then you might equate to being the equivalent of what society says that failure is. I could be the person saying, woe is me, based on one failure, but I've had a million failures since then, but I am who I am because of not succeeding on other levels. So of course we all never want to fail, but when it happens and your perspective and your mindset and your thought process is different, you get over it and you keep moving and you keep challenging, like she said, yourself to become better at anything and all that we do, and just to operate in excellence. And failure just comes with living life on a higher scale and scaling up every time.
Love it, Dr. Calandra. I love the word perspective. And yes, society can define success as such and such, right? A majority is defined by materialism, by something outward. But when we have that perspective, right? So for example, if I'm going from Detroit to Chicago in a car, right? And I have a flat tire, that's considered a failure if I can't go anymore. I'm like stuck there. No, but that's not what I do. I'm gonna call AAA. I'm gonna, get the tire fixed. What if there's a detour? What if there's a blizzard and I slide down and whatever? Am I ever gonna define it as a failure? No, it happened, right? So in my youth coaching, when I caught these young teen minds, I can't believe that how set they are already. And also in my adult coaching, I see what happens when you don't address the teen minds, because some of them were high performers, but a little bit of what some instructors said, they're in high classes, the way they take that is a failure. The fact that the director of music said something in front of everybody, and I would ask more, like, oh, was it said in a bad way? Like, no. What would you do in his place? Oh, I would do the same thing. So who is defining this as a failure? Like, if there is no correction. So it's becoming so delicate. The identity is the other word I love that Dr. Calandra used. When our identity is so fragile that someone's tiny, gentle feedback could be like break you, like the glass is shattered. Who's going to put it together? You're going to experience a whole life it's shattered inside. An identity that's shattered because a teacher said something, some boy said something to a girl, or some peer said something in the classroom. And the teen period is the most they have the highest depression, they have the lowest self-esteem, they're the most impressionable, they're always trying to compete without even realizing what's going on, right? So during that time when the identity is not formed, the failure is defined even by parents who are not realizing, right? Einstein was a failure. He couldn't study at all. For years, he was considered a dumb kid, right? So who's defining and redefining? So to me, it is a very cruel thing that we do to our young people, and we do it without realizing what we are doing. That conditioning them like, this is failure, this is success, this is failure, this is success, right? Until that, when they become an adult, they don't even realize, no matter how much success they have, how good of a relationship they have this internal identity that's from a broken glass, constantly broken glass that they're trying to fit in, but it's not going to fit in unless you realize to shift that identity, change that perspective, and see yourself, like, basically become your cheerleader. If you are not your cheerleader, it's nobody else's responsibility to put that glass together and mold you back, right? So yeah, thank you for that. Now the fifth strategy, as we're kind of wrapping up pretty soon, is self-care. No matter how much motivational talk we do, if we can't get our sleep, if we can't get our diet in order, if we can't get our movement, the body's not meant to sit for more than an hour. So we're coming up to an hour. I would love for all of you to, stand up as soon as this is over and move, because it's not about killing it in the gym for an hour every day or a few hours a week. It's about understanding how this vehicle, the only place that we get to live, works. I could be very devotional. I could be a faith person. I could be an amazing coach. I could be shining brightly in so many areas. But if I am not there respecting my body, respecting the circadian rhythm, respecting how, this hormones are working, because I might be inspired, but for me to have the endurance to sustain that successful behavior, right? I need to make sure my hormones are in the balance, and that hormones are balanced when we're doing the right things. If we are up late, and if we are not eating or eating junk, right? The hormones are not balanced, and we cannot continue this race, this marathon of life, and finish it in a grand way, because my goal is to have all of our health span equal to our lifespan. There is no reason the old age, is like a tiger ready to pounce on you. There's no reason. If we can look at our habits, that's where my core existence, and I love about that topic, is that everything boils back to, if I can respect myself, the universe will respect me. I'm training other people to respect me. I'm training the life to show up in a way that I am showing up in life. So yeah, this would be the fifth one. So anybody on this, Kimberly, about self-care?
Self-care is so important. And I think that we have to look at it from a holistic perspective. Yes, it's about keeping our bodies in tune and making sure that we're able to, carry out the assignment and the purpose on our life. If our bodies are broken down, we can't do all of the great things that we've been called to do. But I think it also goes beyond that, and thinking about our mental health, our, psychological health, our spiritual health. All of that is so important when you think about self-care, because if any of those areas is lacking, it's going to cause a deficit in our lives. And so we get so busy doing, and we forget sometimes to just stop and really take care of our own needs. And what we have to realize is that the world is going to keep on going. Like if something happens to us, if we don't take care of ourselves, the world is going to keep on going. It's going to be sad for a minute, then it's going to keep on going. And so we got to take care of ourselves. We got to think about ourselves, because many times if we don't, nobody else will. So very, very important.
Yeah, very nice. Perfectly said. Dr. Calandra?
Absolutely. I didn't know the platform or how this was gonna go. And it's crazy because all of the things you've touched on, I have practiced self-care on my outline. I'm gonna always take care of me. I'm gonna always take care of me, because wealth and no health is crazy. So a lot of billionaires are no longer with us, and I'm sure they would have traded the health in place of the wealth. And so I always take time out for me. I like to laugh. I like to have a good time, a nice little cocktail. So like I always make sure I pay me. I'm gonna always make sure I play, whether that be a massage, am I going to a comedy show? I've changed eating habits. When you hit 50, and you start getting over 50, you just start realizing, wow, I'm the old person now. So the things I did to my body at 30, I can no longer do to my body at this age if I want to be here and do the things that I have a desire to do. So I love self-care. That is very important to me. And I have learned, no, I can't. That's my day. For me, I've had to say no. I've had some heated discussions and conversations with people because I was deemed as selfish. And sometimes it's okay to be selfish. So I'm going to always take care of me. Like she said, you're going to get the rest in peace, rest in heavens all over social media. And the following week, Calandra who? They've gone on with their lives. And so, yeah, I have to take care of me so I can be able to take care of the people that I love, and especially my clients.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Calandra. Yeah, another perspective of it is all of us are selfishly here, right? So everything we do, I hope there's a good reason why we're doing, and not feel sacrificial. I love it. Mary.
Thank you. Well, one of one of the services that I provide in my consulting business is health and wellness advocacy. And with that, self-care is very important. And I learned this, I was a caregiver for two different centenarians. And I learned from them that self-care is very important. And even while I was taking care of them, they would say, Mary, you got to take care of yourself too now. So I got the constant advice and encouragement to take care of me. So I'm blessed because I'm past 75 and still very mobile, still very thankful. And I still try and exercise proper with physical exercise, spiritual exercise of prayer, eating properly, and just loving people and interacting. So I'm not a hermit that sits inside. So I get out and get involved with the community because all of that is necessary in terms of self-care, unselfishness. And so I can just say thankful. I'm grateful because I should be, many of my friends are in nursing home or have gone on, but I go to nursing home and visit some of my classmates. So I provide support for others. So I am just blessed, and thank you for asking me.
Amazing, and kudos to you. But I know at past 75, right? A majority of population is around the sick care. And here you are supporting others, helping others, and giving your energy to others because of your self-care. That's incredible. I mean, you are the example that we're talking about. I'm very proud of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, everybody. And I'd love to hear insights from Srini, Ravi. I see Indrani is still here. So yeah, anybody, Kishore and Valencia, welcome. Welcome. So would love to hear your insights, your takeaways from this session. And I thank all my speakers. I'm feeling bad for Tai, who's trying to get in, but I can't really help her now. So yeah, I appreciate everything I have learned from your experience. Your brightness lights up others, us, me. And so thank you for sharing. Please go ahead, anybody with your insights.
Yeah, thank you all. I think sharing the past, especially a difficult past, is not easy, and being honest and transparent with the difficult times is not easy too. All of us want to show a good picture of us on social media, but sharing the truth, facts, and the experiences are very important. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Yes, that's a very difficult thing, to be vulnerable, to share the skeletons in the closet. Yeah. Thank you, Ravi. Indrani, what's your takeaway?
First of all, I would like to thank you all here. I really appreciate your experiences, and I really want to thank you all for your wonderful experiences shared by us. But I have a doubt here. How to, it's not only, failure is not only connected to the person, it's connected to our success, it's connected to this world, it's connected to this many things, our career, our family. It's not connected to particular individual, like how to take, how to involve, how to manage. So in this competitive world, how can I manage that in a competitive way? That is what my question is. How can I manage my, if challenges occurred, if failures occurred, all of a sudden, every time that the new challenge occurs, we feels, as a human, we feels, oh, it is new to me. How to handle this? How come I combine the resources which can help for me? So this is the first thought every human is going to think whenever a new challenge occurs in their life. But again, it is related to many things. So how to handle, especially in a competitive spirit, how can I handle this failure? This is my question.
So when you say failure, Indrani, failure definitely is attached to person, to career, because you didn't do something, the boss didn't like it, whatever it is, you're fired. or something in the relationship, failure, right? So failure is connected to situation and to us. And you're asking, how do we change the perspective around it and use
How
it?
can one side I want to handle this pressure, and the side I want to manage this failure with some resources, and at the same time I don't want to be a bad competitor in this world.
Who wants to take this?
Yeah, this is Kishore here. I have a perspective on this. So yeah, you mentioned two things: failures and challenges, and they are two different animals. They're not the same. Failures have already happened. Challenges are something that you are up against, and you may have to come over with help and being resilient. So let's talk about failures only. Failures are inevitable in life. Failures happen no matter what. And somebody once said, maybe I heard a similar thing in this session as well. Show me somebody who never failed in their life, I'll show you a loser. Because failures are what make you strong, make you better, make you human, and make you a winner. So no matter what, we all go through failures at different phases of life. Children fail in classes, bad grades. Adults fail at work, fail in real life, but we all learn and we all own up to our failures and move on. Now, the competitive angle to failure is a very important thing that you brought up, because sometimes a failure can be so punitive, it can be damaging to our self-esteem. It can be damaging to what people think of us. It can be damaging to our future opportunities as well. Sometimes at work, let's say you mess up something big. People who get fired don't get an opportunity to get rehired at the same place. And sometimes it goes on the record, and your opportunities to be hired at a similar place will also be limited. So failures can be damaging. Absolutely. There's no escape from it. There's no point in idealizing that we'll brush off and move on and then achieve something bigger. So there is always that penalty that comes with a failure. But what happens is the world is so big, the opportunities around us are so humongous. The penalty that we pay generally is so small, is very small. We pay a lot of attention to what we lose because of the failure, but we don't pay attention to what we can achieve in spite of the failure, outside of the world that the failure happened. Recover from it, learn from it, look at the opportunities where that failure has no meaning, and you'll be successful in those areas.
Great share, Kishore. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. Yeah, thank you, Kishore. But I'm ready for the penalty. I know very well. Every human knows very well. Failure is a stepping stone. Failure. Since my childhood, I'm listening all these things. Nothing is new here. Okay, failure definitely is make you strong. It makes you resilient. Everything I'm learning, I'm listening this from my childhood. Nothing is new here. So I'm ready to pay for the penalty. No matter how much, what is the cost of it. I'm ready to pay for the penalty. Also, I know it is definitely going to damage. Even I'm ready for that. But still, Indrani wants to be a competitor, best competitor in this world.
Exactly.
Could anyone help? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what my point is. So the last opportunity because of the failure is, and the opportunity that's waiting for you outside of that failure is so big. If you focus on part two of it, part one, the pain that you are getting from part one will be minuscule compared to what you have in store for you outside of that failure. So if you focus on it, on the rest of the world, focus on everybody else, focus on all the other opportunities, take advantage of everything else out there, and you become strong from that failure. You become strong even otherwise. Keep learning and keep growing. That penalty, that small penalty that we have paid for that failure, has no meaning in the grand scheme of things.
So what Kishore is saying, from my understanding, is that whatever failure, yes, we can just brush off and go. I may look like, whoa, she's having fun, but they have no idea what happened to where I'm actually brushing off and going, right? There is some a cost to it, But what he's saying is that in the grand scheme of life, it's the smallest window, right? Even if it's 10 years of like, oh my God, so many problems, something, right? If you're living 70, 80, 90 years, it's still a percentage of your whole life. But we take the pain and the penalty from that failure to make sure we smear it to the rest of the remainder of the life, and to project the past that happened, like eclipse it in a way that the whole period was bad, right? So we add drama to to a fact that happened. A fact happens, it pains, it hurts us, but it takes so much effort on our part to spread it, to make sure we never forget it, we live with the pain. And allow me, Indrani, when you say it's Indrani wants to be competitive, I'm like thinking Indrani is like, I can be a better in the ring of life, right? I got this, I can do better, right? It kinda is a mindset that's like me against the world. Versus what Kishore is talking about is a message came through that failure. If I learn that message, sometimes it's hard. Trust me, I'm still learning. But some failures you can learn right away, right? But that awareness mindset, that open growth mindset that says there's a message here. It's not like you are wrong, you did me wrong. What is it that I didn't learn? What is it in me that attracted this to me? What is it in me that keeps attracting, right? So if I see all of us, like we've heard from our speakers, that we are interconnected. We're interconnected. Like your win is my win. We together we grow, right? So how do we take that mindset with the failure, right? So if we see that there's a message that the universe is giving, the situation is giving through this messenger, through this person, right? I learn that message, I convert that failure, and the perspective changes. It's a small time of my life. I'm gonna use that message and I'm gonna make my rest of my life enhance, like a better Indrani with a better mindset, right? Because of that failure. So thank you, failure. Versus I'm gonna compete and I'm gonna come out better is gonna make Indrani stay a fighter for the rest of her life in a ring. So like the next opponent, I don't know how strong.
Sorry for the interruption. Here I have a small doubt again. See, I know. So definitely the failure is the thing which is going to be most benefitable in our lives, in every human life, because there is a chance to learn many things through that. There is a chance to register what are the failure, when failure happens, what are the things we have done, what are the resources we have taken, all the things is going to register in our mind for lifelong. It's going to be helpful, I can understand that. But sometimes, it's suppose Sheetal is a family person, one of her, in her family, she is linked to her children, to her husband, to her mom and dad, to her aunt and uncle, and everything in the closed family. There are so many people. So when failure occurs to I'm sorry, Sheetal, I'm using your name. Okay, if failure occurs to the Sheetal, it's not the fail. She is ready to damage herself because of that failure, because she wants to give the best to her family. She's not worrying about herself. Instead, she wants to give so much to her family. That is her happiness. So in this case, she's ready to damage herself. It's okay. Failures occurs. Okay, I'm ready to pay the penalty for this. I'm ready for the damage. But where is her passion? Where is her competition? Life. This is what I mean. I think I'm not expressing the in a correct way, but hope you can understand.
Yeah, I think your biggest concern is the comparative angle to what happens, the damage that the failure.
No, what I'm saying is, if
you.
damage happens, damage can happen to any way, any channel. It may be a single channel, or it may be a bidirectional channel, or it may be a multiple channels. Suppose if failure happened to me, it's not only Indrani is going to worry here. Many of her family members may worry, many of her friends may worry sometimes, or sometimes their partners may worry. Okay, so even though if I am ready to pay for the penalty, but it should not make suffer of the other people. So I have to balance all these things.
That you are not an individual. Whatever you go through, the consequences are felt by the family, by the society, because we're interconnected. Is that right, Indrani?
You're right, Sheetal. As a Indrani, I want to stand. I want to be a best competitor in this world.
Yeah,
And second thing is,
responsible for the people around
yes,
us.
yes, I do want to make them happy.
I got it. So, someone wanted to speak. Was it Kimberly?
Yeah, it was me. I understood what she was saying. I finally got it there at the end when she said the last thing that she said. So there's a concept in counseling about self-differentiation in the context of family or groups, which identifies a person's ability to be able to be in a family or be in a group and still maintain their individuality, their individual emotions, their individual experiences, yet they are still a part of the collective. So it takes intentionality in that, because if you allow yourself to be taken away with every failure that's in your family or people that are close to you or people that you know, then you're going to find yourself in this endless loop of trying to dig yourself out of a hole because somebody else fell in the hole. Now, I'm going to be more helpful to somebody in my family that has fallen in the hole if I stay out of it, because then I can help them get out. And so I have to work on keeping myself in a place of strength and being able to at times be on it doesn't mean that you lack compassion. It doesn't mean that you lack empathy. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that you have to hold yourself in a place where you can be helpful and not fall or be in distress because everybody around you is in distress. We have the ability to do that. It's a matter of exercising it. And so when I build myself up to say, okay, I'm not part of that, but I can influence it. And so now I try to help from where I am versus going in there and drowning myself. If I don't know how to swim, it's useless for me to jump into a pool of water and try to rescue somebody. But if I stay in a place where I can offer assistance because I've kept my mind right and I'm able to think logically and I'm able to plan and strategize as to how I can help this other individual, then I'm better in that relationship. I'm better in the group that I'm in because I don't allow myself. I'm self-differentiated. I'm able to stand alone and still be helpful in what's going on. I don't know if that helped, but that's what I heard.
That's beautifully said, Indrani. It's like for me, you have to be on the banks in a very stable position and give a stick or whatever to someone that's being taken by a flood, right? You can, like you're saying, you can jump in there even if you know swimming, to swim and then pull this person, but you can be smarter. And then the way you show up is so important in helping them. Like right now, they may be hurting because of something you decided, because for them, what was it that I heard recently? They said you can kill a big dream by sharing it with a small mind. So you may have a vision, noble vision to save the world. That might not be exactly what your family wants to hear. They want you to, be something according to them is safe, right? So your choices will look like it's hurting your family. Your community service will look like it's taking you away from your family. But you have to hold your truth more powerfully because you're born, yes, in a community, in a family, but you have a purpose. There's a reason you were born. There's an angst that inside the society, inside you, that you want to address. You want to be a solution. For you to grow bigger, there you have to accept that there will be misunderstandings. There will be consequences felt in the family. I mean, Gandhi saved the world, saved India, but then he had to suffer consequences with the family. So the bigger the people get, yes, stuff happens, but to be conscious about it, to have awareness. And definitely nobody wants to hurt family, but to be on the banks and to hold your ground and to give them help so that they can hold on to it. So one of the biggest thing I learned is that to be yourself, so with compassion, with the respect, with love, because if you stay that way, you're giving permission to your family to be that way, to take care of themselves first and not to be sacrificial. So I don't know if that addressed what Indrani is talking about.
So I have to be ready for the consequences along with the failure, damages, and penalty.
I thought you were from the childhood, right? Because it's like you fell many times before you walked. So you already knew you bruised your knees when you're a few months old. So we have that inbuilt in us. It's more about the mindset of accepting how system works and to write the system in a way that it's beautiful for me, for my family, right? Yeah, we belong to a group, but you can raise up to you're an individual inside a beautiful setup.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jones,
Pleasure.
and thank you, Shito. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kishore. Thank you, Indrani, and thank you, Valencia. If you want to share anything right now, we have a minute left. Okay, Srini, your words.
Oh no, it's a wonderful, hearing all the views, especially, some of the views where, if everything is happening well, that means there is something wrong. I like that viewpoint. So you need to challenge yourself to, go out of your comfort zone. But yeah, always, only one point I want to add is that we should have a framework where we can practically, help on some of these tasks, actually. Take some of them as case studies and see how we can leverage our network, experts, advisors, and execution specialists, and stitch everything together to really map it to a practical use case that, where somebody is going through it, because that is going to teach us a lot more. And practically, more how we can build execution models for the problems we have. So that would be of my interest area.
I'm sorry. I'm here as well. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Valencia. Hi, thanks for joining.
Yes, and I thank my sister friend Calandra for inviting me and sharing the word on Facebook. But I know we're in time. I just wanted to just say that just a few nuggets that I picked up within listening to everyone. Failures is something that I had to look at a different way, because I would let each failure tear me down when going through, but how not to accept a failure of allowing it to tear me down instead of building me up. So I had to look at it in a different way of knowing going through a failure would just look, I kind of accepted it as creating fearless me and not breaking me down, preparing me for the next goal, the next adventure. My ministry and my mindset is being there for someone else. That's what keeps me stronger. That's what keeps me going. I'm an usher at the church and everything. It's always wanting to be needed. If I'm not needed, then I feel like I'm a failure, that I'm not answering my calling, knowing what I'm here for. So I know what my calling is. And if I feel like I've failed at something, my determination keeps me going. And it also puts me mentally and physically ready to be able to move to the next adventure. The healthy part that you guys were talking about, back once again, if I'm not helping somebody, then I don't feel healthy. It keeps me strong mentally, because I'm trying to figure out, okay, what class could I take? A master's or doctor's, is it good enough? If is, maybe I need to go into a training, or, trying to get more knowledge to help someone else. Why keep all the knowledge and the benefits or the connections that I have to myself and not pass it on to my brother or my sister? Another thing that I picked up on, the young lady that was just speaking about failures and how to get out of it, and it's going to continue to come. As you look as a baby, the baby does not stay a baby for the entire life. It could be mentally, but physically it grows, it changes. So if you're not going through the storms of life to teach you how, you look at things as, while it's raining, what are you doing while it's raining? What are you doing while you're in a storm? And one last thing, you always focus on, a storm always comes, it never stays.
Yes. Beautiful, beautifully said, Valencia. Great captures. You're right. If imagine even as a baby, right? You're just held and you're like, oh, cuddling, and that's it. How is the baby gonna be a champion? How is it gonna be a leader if you're like doing this all the time, right? So I love that we take failures, we take every challenge that comes our way as something, oh, this sucks, this is yucky right now, but this is there to make me better. So we have this analogy that when a gold, by the ore, gold is very soft, it's malleable, it's useless, it's pure, but it's useless. But when impurities are added and the fire and the kiln and everything, and it's beaten up, and then it becomes a beautiful ornament, right? For us to be of service to others, it's almost like you treat it as a blessing, as a gift from the universe. Like, okay, looks like you're fit enough to go through this one more challenge. Go through this so that you come out shining brighter, right? Another analogy for me always has been a diamond. The amount of rubs it gets is directly related to the amount of brilliance it gives out. So with that, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yes, we are the champions. We are the radiators of electricity, of light, of brilliance. And this is, I'm addressing for all of us, everybody on this planet. The moment we realize that, and then we turn any breakdowns into breakthroughs. And so thank you very much. I really appreciate all the speakers here and all the participants too. Have a great Friday. Thank God it's Friday. And have a great Easter weekend. Bye.
Have a blessed one. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye, Dr. Kalendra.
Thank you, Shito.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Happy-
Thank you, Shito.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ravi duplicated himself. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Sure.
Everyone have a nice weekend.
Thank you, you too, Mary.